Hey guys, what's going on? MaskedGraphics here, and today I'm going to be going over another Photoshop tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a really sweet smoke effect. This is an effect that you can use in different projects to help bring it out. I'm going to show you guys some different ways to do this. What we're going to be doing is adding the smoke, and then we're going to add some text using some lens flares to help bring it out. And the final product is actually a really nice look. So what we're going to do, bring up a new document, so we're going to hit Control N. I'm going to be using the dimensions of 1600 by 900. Now the dimensions you use are all personal preference. Now I'm using these dimensions just because it's a really nice size to work with. So I'm going to click OK on that. Now the first thing we want to do is bring up a new layer, and then we can go ahead and delete this background layer because we're not going to be using that. We're going to head over to our gradient tool. I'm going to select, I like to use radial. Now the type of gradient that you use is all personal preference. The two I recommend is either linear or radial. From here, we're going to head over to our colors. I already have a preset one made. Basically, if you want to create one, all you have to do is click on your little colors here. I'm going to be using a really dark shade of gray and then fading out to a black. So you can click OK on that. From here, we're going to go to the center of our document. We're going to hold down our Shift key and then drag out to the end, like so. And basically, what holding down the Shift key does is it will keep your entire document in proportion, so you won't have any uneven spots. Now that we have that done, we're going to again create a new layer. We're going to head back to our gradient tool. We're going to select this time a lighter shade of gray fading to a darker shade of gray. Now the reason why we're doing this is what we're going to do is fade it in, and it will help lighten up the entire image. And then once we add the lens flare, you'll see where that really comes into play. So we're going to hold down our Shift key again and drag out. We're going to head over to our blend modes. We're going to select soft light. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and add a lens flare. Now you won't really see a difference with the lens flare until we add the smoke effect and the text. So we're going to head over to Filter. We're going to head over to Render, Lens Flare. For me, I'm going to be using the 105mm prime. For my brightness, I selected 119%. Now the brightness can be varied up or down depending on the type of look you want. And you can also mess around with the different lens types. So I'm going to click OK on that. Now the next we want to do is we want to add our smoke effect. So in order to do this, we're again going to bring up a new layer. We're going to select our gradient tool. I'm going to select the darker shade of gradient again. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and drag out. I'm going to make sure my foreground color is set to black. Then we're going to head over to Filter. We're going to do Render and Clouds. From here, we're going to go ahead and blend it in and make it look like it's actual smoke. So go over to our blend modes. I'm going to select Overlay. Now the type of blend mode you use, I would either recommend Overlay or Soft Light. It all depends on the type of look you want. Now the next step you want to do is you can mess with your opacity. Obviously if you like this look already, you don't have to lower the opacity, but for me I'm going to go ahead and bump this down a little bit to about 54%. Now we're going to go ahead and add our text in there. So what we're going to do is again create a new layer. We're going to bring up our text tool. I'm using the font of Beavis with the size of 268. The font will be in the video description below. For here, I'm just going to go ahead and type in smoke. I'm going to make sure it's selected on white. Now the reason why we're using white and not black is because once we fade it in there, it really help it stand out. From here, we want to make it look like it's actual smoke. We want to make it look like it's part of the background. So in order to do this, we're going to mess in with our filters a little bit. So first off, we're going to head over to our blurs. I'm going to be using motion blur. Go ahead and click OK on that to rasterize the type. For here, I'm going to use the angle of 90 with a distance of 20. Again, you can variate this up or down depending on the type of look you want. But when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you don't increase the blur so much to where you can't read the text. So we're going to click OK on that. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to make it a little bit more wavy, look like it actually goes with the background. So for here, we're going to go to Filter, Distort, and Zigzag. Now another option you can try is Wave. That's the more popular one, however I find that Zigzag looks a little better. Now the settings that I have chosen to use for this is the amount of 6 and the ridges of 7, style as pond ripples, and we can click OK on that. And as you can see, it gave it a really nice wavy effect. Now over here, we're going to go ahead and blend it into the background, and this is where you'll see the lens flare really come into play. So I'm going to select my blend modes. I'm going to do soft light. Now for here, one last trick we're going to do to make it look a little bit more cool. We're going to transform it and add it to a different angle. So we're going to hit Control T to transform. We're going to right click and head over to perspective. Now what perspective allows us to do is obviously we can drag down and put it at different angles. Or what I like to do is if you drag off to the left or the right, it'll make it bigger or smaller and look like it's coming at you from the screen. Like so. And we can click OK on that. So there you go. There's a really cool smoke effect added with some text. We threw in some lens flares to bring it out. And you can move the text around as much as you want. Obviously, the further away you go from the lens flare, the less lightened it will be from the background. And the further you put it up, it will come out more. So there you go, guys. There's a really neat tutorial on how to create a smoke effect. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. But other than that, take it easy.